Summer is around the corner in the subcontinent. And of course, across the world, winter may set up in some part of the world. And this part of the world is the summer. February, in the middle of the February, one gets to feel the warmth, the heat. And in fact, in most parts of India, even during winter, the season is sultry, especially in parts of Tamil Nadu, Madras, Andhra Pradesh, northern parts of India. So summer is not a new thing to them when it sets in. And actually, summer sets during the month of March. Of course, Bangalore till the end of the February it used to be very cold, shivering cold. But nowadays it is not so. Even during the winter season, the weather is restricted to morning and evening. One gets to feel the cool, one gets to feel the bit of shivering only during early morning and evening. So otherwise, Bangalore has also become a sort of Tamil Nadu in terms of weather. It is quite hot season throughout the year because Bangalore has lost all its greenery, lakes, and it has given way to jungle. Concrete jungle? Concrete jungle. Therefore, the heat is more, and therefore, this summer, however, instead of looking at the changing weather patterns throughout the world, what will be the situation like? Because over the last 3 years, 4 years, a big war is going on between Russia and Ukraine and African countries. There is always some sort of disruption in daily activities, normal activities. There is a coup, there are fightings, infighting, there are a lot of groups over there, and guerrilla conflicts. It is taking a lot of toll on human lives, and this has become a permanent part of some of the African countries. In fact, South Africa, of course, it seems it is a regain peace from all frontiers. And one thought about that, there is Americans. U.S. is offering South African citizens asylum. They can settle in US because it seems that whites are being discriminated. This is a very new thing to surface in South Africa because for a long time there was a problem of apartheid, and after decades or centuries, decades of struggle, they have regained that democratic right to rule over, and now that there is a majority. But the white alleged discrimination. Now the trend has reversed. And now the Americans are offering them citizenship, not only asylum for a temporary period. They can as well settle down in their countries. Whereas the Indians are being sent out in fact, large numbers. Student visas are also being restricted in US. But Africa is regaining. So, what will be the summer like? Summer, the same trend will continue as far as South Africa is concerned, as far as the conflicts in the other parts of Africa is concerned. So, there can be changes. Because there is an initiative because lives are lost in the Gulf region. Lives are lost, and there a savior has arisen. We cannot keep quiet when so many people are being killed, innocents are being put to death. They have a right to fight against injustice. They have the right to take on to the streets. This cannot be construed as a illegal. And illegal when you consider they are not even being put behind the bars. They are being executed. What is this? Can't. So US has sent a very big armada. So in one part of the world, when US sends, what about the African countries? There is no mention about this from the Americans. Americans, of course, there it is regularity. It is taken a regular everyday killings. One gets to see the news. One gets to read the newspapers. There are news of killings going on in Africa, and what can be the reason? Because one is that poverty, one is that power struggle. Power struggle is more than poverty. In fact, people can live in poverty. In India, people are living in poverty for a very long time, and since the occupation of the land during the colonial era, people, some many of them were not having upper garments to wear, upper money to purchase upper garments, so only lower garments they were. So Gandhi said, okay, I will also be one amongst those Indians. I have to exhibit it in the open. So he removed his shirt in solidarity, and it was called the off-naked fakir, off-naked fakir. But what about the food? Did Gandhiji emulate the people taking, not taking one square meal per day? It does not come in the news. It does not come in the news. It is not in the history books. Which attire part Gandhiji has taken care. What about the food part? Maybe there also Gandhiji must have been eating morsel grains. That's why he was very thin and his bones were sticking out. So he's showing solidarity because, in fact, he could not do anything else except show solidarity. So nowadays we hardly get to see any Indians going without shirts and without shirts or the upper garments. So that is the situation here. And this summer also, there cannot be any sudden changes. Sudden changes are hard to come by, but we can presume either it goes up or comes down. Whether the unemployment will remain the same, it will shoot up because during the summer, the BJP government at the center is amalgamating all the public sector banks, merging, sort of, not amalgamating, merging all the public sector banks. And in the first place, they have merged that State Bank of India and its associates. Of course, they have not come out with a blueprint. What is the situation like? In fact, whether branches are reduced, whether administrative offices are reduced, whether staff is reduced, and what is the benefit on account of this, except showing a bigger balance sheet and other things. What about this stuff? Number of staff, number of branches. Still, is there a proliferation of branches? They have not come out with it. What is the human HRD like? Whether it is improved or whether there is scope for improvement or whether it is deteriorated. And without checking all these aspects, the government has gone ahead with the merger of all the banks, almost all the banks. Since many years, since 5 decades or so, banks, public sector banks have been incurring losses, and merger may not be the only solution to improve their balance sheet or make them profitable, because there are many aspects to be looked into. In fact, the government is hooded horse. It's behaving like a horse hooded on both the sides. Only narrow strip of land it can see, and every other aspect they are ignoring. And their only concern is raising the bank to the international level. What about the other things, HRD, and especially HRD is very important. And there, if it deteriorates, and whatever is the improvement in other respects, it all what is done ultimately, and there is hardly any scope of improvement. And as far as the other industries are concerned, government has gone ahead with, since the first term itself. It is being divesting shares from the public sector enterprises, and this summer also, they may go ahead go ahead with all those companies whose shares have not been divested. And in this case, earlier also they were not floating the shares. They were selling it off to private entrepreneurs, large scale, and the public were not having any sort of ownership, not even any, not shares, no shares. Everything was held with the private entrepreneurs. The only thing is the management is shifting from the government to the private entrepreneurs, privatization. And privatization, whether it has got positives, negatives, no, they don't consider any of these aspects, because the only concern is appears to be mergers, privatizations, and a lot more things. But except they don't concern themselves with the HRD aspect of these things. There are a lot of competitive examinations going on for all the concerns. Even the bank, what is it? Industrial Development Bank of India, which has been privatized immediately by the RBI, no, not by the central government, RBI, because of various factors, losses, balance sheet deterioration, and so many other things. For that also, there is a lacuna here, because the executive is getting in a loss-making enterprise, is being paid astronomical sum, and staff are paid very less. So government is not concerned to correct this anomaly. And this summer there may be a change in this respect, because Narendra Modi is actually, one can see is the change in his behavior, or it comes to the fore, because in the immediate announcement of the um, trade deal, sort of stoppage of purchasing crude oil from Russia, it is not the government's initiative, because the private entrepreneurs, they have stopped it because they do not find a market. In fact, it is very clear that these people who are purchasing crude oil from Russia for very less amount and selling it off to US and other countries at exorbitant rates. So when they said we are not going to purchase your finished products, we know pretty well that you are. In fact, the president made a statement. These people are making astronomical profits. They are taking cheap crude oil from Russia, selling it to us, back to us. It's very ridiculous. Stop, he said. But Narendra Modi will lion roar. We are not going to stop Russian crude oil, he said. All the ministers echoed. And there was a press statement also. We are not going to stop. And immediately why did they stop? Because the private entrepreneurs, they are doing the business there. They said, okay, we are not concerned about you. Our concern is business. We want to sell our products. When we purchase, we don't find a market for our products. Why should we purchase Russian oil? We are going to stop it. They said, and the government policy decision only can be fell down like anything. That is their biggest policy. Maintain very friendly relation, no cost, use on them. But now they say we have stopped, and we'll get cheap crude oil from wherever it gets, because Narendra Modi's lion roar has now become a jackal's howl. Because, so at the end of his term, why this should happen? Because it doesn't have that hold. So it has become a jackal's howl, and the lion is the businessman. Adani, and others. They are having a lot of stakes in this oil purchase, marketing. They have made their calculations, not concerned with the political system, and they are mm, more in line with the Americans and not with Russia. Politically, these people are with the Russians, but business wise, it is the Americans. So they are calling the show. It's become very clear to everybody. So this summer also, Narendra Modi is losing his roaring voice. Roaring voice doesn't have that value now, and it's become very clear. It is not that Narendra Modi has bent his head low, because the other side, the stakes are high. They are calling the shots. They have that power in their hands. They become just like East India Company, Reliance. Now Reliance, Adani, and other companies put together, they are like the East India Company, having a separate sovereignty of their own. So Narendra cannot be called a lion anymore. No, literally fallen back. Blue lion is now is in the stage of the jackal, which has fallen into the blue dye of the blue dye. It has fallen into the blue dye. Still, it is having more importance than the lion king. It is the king still, but this color will fade away once rain falls. But luckily, summer, after summer, when after summer, of course, Narendra Modi himself will announce. We will not hide behind that color. Blue color he will not hide. He's not such a person because, in fact, he has given up his married life for the country, so it says. So before that color goes, he'll come out with an announcement because the government favored the businessmen and they have now become like East India Company, because always he quotes about the British rule in India, colonial rule, East India Company quotes. And now in this respect, after this summer, before this summer in fact, after this summer rains, no, rains, will not wait for his color to fade. This summer he will make a very big announcement that I made privatization because to improve the lot of the people. When it was all the enterprises were in government control, there were a lot of corruption and other evils associated with it, nepotism, so many things, red tapeism, corruption. It was decay. So what the Congress started, we followed it more rigorously, and we are about to privatize everything. In airlines also we have privatized, railways also part of the management part we have privatized. A lot of areas in the railways we have privatized. So other infrastructure, oil industry, which was a prerogative of government, we have privatized. Narendra Modi will go keep on telling the same thing. So many things we have privatized, but now we find that we are losing power in the process. This political power is slipping away. We do not call the shots. It is the businessman. It is the become the East India Company. East India Company. It is like an East India Company of the 16th century. The Queen created it, but I haven't created it. Maybe inadvertently, government has created this, and so we have to acknowledge. My government acknowledges this, and in fact, we do not like to continue in the government, so we are resigning en masse. This announcement can be expected. Of course, these are all presumptions, but happenings during this winter, it is going to unfold during the summer, and if it doesn't unfold, color will fade away, and this is also presumption, of course. So everybody will call jackal. So before that, to save his phrase, not only to save morality, uh, morality requires them to come out with a very big statement. Very big statement. In fact, the slipping power. And when East India companies were formed, those people were calling the shots in the colonial area, not in their own land. Not in their own land. The parliament was supreme there still. In fact, they have indicted many of the East India Company officials also. they had indicted at that time in 17th century. That way, the British Parliament has some power. They are exercising it. They are exercising. They don't show any favoritism. At that time, now how it is, it's difficult because history it is such that some of the successful East India Company officials who have made it big, they have in fact been punished. In fact, being punished by the Parliament, their Parliament, British Parliament. So in India, this is not happening. This will never happen because British, of course, they have a democratic tradition dating back to 14th or 15th century, many hundred years. So a few hundred years at that time, and bloodless coup, bloodless coup, democracy was ushered in, and they have an unwritten constitution. So the parliament is supreme there within their own country because they have discriminated to a large extent people from other parts of the world. In fact, many of the aboriginals have been annihilated also. So that way, they have shown that cruelty to outsiders. From within their country, they are maintaining that tradition of democracy. Outside, it is not a democratic tradition, going by the annihilation part. Wherever they have captured power outside British territory, uh, outside the island, UK. UK is an island. Outside that, they have nearly annihilated the aboriginal population. New Zealand, Australia, name anything, anywhere. And India, of course, they have not invaded India. It was the traders. But who then invaded New Zealand, Australia? Was it the army or something like this? Traders. Of course, these traders were really, some of them were punished, in fact, punished. So that way, instead of going deep into that their cruelty part, at least they had the democratic tradition to punish their people when they have committed mistake outside the land. So that way it is fine. But in India, they lack that tradition, punishing their own people. Of course, when it comes to this, when there is a drastic, very drastic crime, they do not have a choice. See that UB, he has plundered the public money. Therefore, he had to flee. The government were all very quiet when the loans were announced, when it was given without any sort of security, when there was no way to repayment because see the Kingfisher Airlines, it has gone into a loss, but all the while the government was not concerned because they were favoring the business class, they were favoring privatization. So they would have thought it will take time, it will adjust. So they were allowing individuals to accumulate wealth, individual when even when their image is tarnished, they go to the extent of protecting them. Unlike the British Parliament during the 17th century, imagine that. So they have been protecting, I believe, maybe one party or the other. But finally, when things got very lucid, Kingfisher Airlines suffered losses like anything, and he had to sell away his stakes. At that time, only government woke up. Government woke up, and even then, they have not questioned any of the lenders, under what circumstances they are given, because probability is that they themselves must have favoring privatization. They themselves must have uh, recommended recommended that loans can be sanctioned for private position purpose. So acquisition of airlines, that this go ahead, and this guy has purchased the Jet Airlines. Jet Airlines. Even at that time, they could have stopped. How is getting that source? Even when that all the money is from all borrowed money, you should not be allowed to purchase, acquire the shares of other companies. So it's going ahead, and government was very quiet. So privatization is a good thing, but norms have to be followed. They haven't followed any norms. In fact, what norms have they followed? In this one instance, it is so clear, amply clear, that this guy also purchased a sporting, what is it, IPL team, RCB, and he was spending a lot of amounts on the players, funding them, a lot. These things also they haven't considered, because instead of blaming this BJP government, generally any government, the privatization was carried out during the period of Congress, and when this guy was committing all this. Unlawful things, illegal things. It was the Congress in power, not the BJP. In fact, most probably this guy is leaning towards the Congress establishment rather than the BJP, Saffron Party. Whether it is the Saffron Party supports a set of businessmen, Congress supports a set of businessmen, and they have their own team of them. And of course, this Infosys was also Congress supported them. BJP supports somebody, these people. Or Reliance, of course, when Congress is in power, they were leaning towards Congress. When BJP is in power, they are leaning towards what is. That is a peculiar sort of thing. They can adjust with any of them. Either the Congress. Tomorrow, if Congress comes to power, Reliance immediately will turn to the Congress side. Now it is BJP, so is BJP. Tomorrow, if Rahul Gandhi becomes the PM, you will immediately become the Rahul's close side. So that sort of situation is there. Business, everything is there. But the most important things, they should be removed from all these things. The important thing is they have to maintain the law and order, legalities. Legalities involved in every transaction, because the public money is involved, and the checking has to be so careful. Uh, Statutory checkings and audits and other things. So many things are there, and every year, every month, returns are being sent. Whether they are scrutinizing this, by the goings on, nothing is happening. All the favoritism and other things. Of course, when finally the water level rises above the head, so to say, they don't have a choice. They don't have a choice but to acknowledge that but even then they don't acknowledge that. They say that man has committed fraud here, we will recover that, we will take action, we will do that, we will do this. And now they start spending a lot of money on legal actions. Legal actions. Of course, legal action doesn't come without spending money. Enormous sums are have to be paid. Government treasure. How much money they would must have spent for taking legal course against this mm, Kingfisher Airlines owner? How much money to to get him repatriated? And that is not happening. That is not happening. That is another big drawback. That is not happening. Instead of spending all the money, they could not convince the British that he's committed a very big fraud, not known in the history, banking history, and we are still having with him. We have to. But the British Parliament, democratic tradition, whatever is, whether he's committed crime to the third degree crime also, you're not sending him, because in your land they are not treating the criminals properly. They say. So take that stand, and there are a lot of people who are taken shelter in foreign lands. There is one from that cricketing IPL. IPL, one guy has gone to some African country or wherever he is. None of them, these Indians, with their legal attorneys and pleaders, they are not able to bring one of them back. One of them. Every time we lose, newspaper comes with the report that they are going to be expatriated. They are going to be sent back. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Because it takes a very long time, long drawn effort, and it is like prevention is better than cure. Prevent before it happens, and because you are in having a narrow mindset, you are both the sides are hooded. You clearly say that we want privatization, we want mergers. That's all. And what legalities is being followed to ensure a fair deal? No? What legalities are followed to ensure that people do not take advantage, frauds are not committed, and money is not looted? Where nothing is there. Privatization is one word. If the sentence is not completed, merger is one word. Sentence is not completed. Only thing they want merger, they want privatization. That's all, and nothing else. In fact, in French, there were reports that most of the enterprises were in government control were privatized. I don't think it was done in this shabby manner as it is being in as in India, as in India. But one doesn't know what really exactly happened there. There the people may not be like these people trying to swindle the money. Maybe privatization they must not have taken so much care, but they have trusted the private entrepreneurs, placed the trust, and here also they have placed the trust. But there they have not committed, they have respected the trust. They have respected the trust. But here they have taken advantage of this, and finally they have been caught finally, because had it been under controlled fraud that they committed, government must have let them off, because a lot of money is involved, lot of money. Straight away, all their enterprises are falling apart. So that way, it is a very sad reflection about the rule. So what is going to happen this summer is certainly government is going to acknowledge many things after this March, before the end of summer. One can expect, because the BJP government has completed two terms into the third term, and as per their own agreement, this person has to the head of the cabinet, the first among the cabinet, has to make way for a newcomer. So this is the high time they may think their choice may be the best one. Whether they come out with their blue paper, whatever has happened, and come out with the truth, and clearly mm, tell the public what has happened, why it has happened, what was the lacuna, why they have not worried much about the statutory audits, annual audits, and other things, other checking, why it has not they have not taken seriously what about the HRD, and why they were hold in privatization, mergers. So the actualities they may come, and they may really feel sorry, and take a pledge that this should not happen by the future governments, because they are going to resign. Cabinet is going to resign. So that is the assumption of coming March. March is coming and giving way to, will give to new government. And new government comes, it should not walk on the same path. So what happens is the same mistakes will repeat. The same lacuna, the same crime will happen. They have to treat a better path, not a worse one, not an aggressively punishing the criminals, aggressively punishing the innocents, aggressively carrying out some sort of executions. No, because they have to clear, take a different path, from this governments. BJP is continuing the plan of the Congress in privatization. Everything because the Kingfisher Airlines, it was during their time it has happened. In fact, it was initiated during their time, and that fraud was it took place during BJP regime. Both are responsible. Congress cannot wash off its hands and say fraud has happened during the BJP government. They have initiated privatization. So that way, and the next set of government may really not take sides. They may not side with Reliance Ambani nor with Infosys people. Infosys, that guy has gone away to the island, British island. So who is in command now? So they should not take sides with them, but ensure that all the legalities are followed, all the legalities, whether it is at the office, whether it is with the government, general public, with the outside world, the business they carry out, that all the transactions precisely carried out, and just to ensure that they stay in business and they become profitable. This law legality should not be bent for their sake, whether it is the public or the private. Everything should be treated as a single entity, as business enterprise. All the business enterprise, the public sector, private sector, it should be treated and see to it the large administrative setups in public sector enterprise remaining the same. Remaining the same. It is not been altered by the BJP government. They have not touched it a wee bit, and this all should give way. So as the day requires, because some of the banks have administrative offices in every district, every state. So whether it is required, because as the Karnataka government, they will say we don't require. Why do we require any administrative office of that entity here when it is not required in the general good? Just because they provide little more employment, and we notice the deterioration, they will say. Definitely they will say. The present man will certainly say is against it. So, and there is a deterioration of human values. When there is a deterioration of human values, what is the purpose in maintaining a big administrative setup when it doesn't serve the purpose of the business? So that should be the motto. Because traditionally they have been having, it is not the question. Because we are changing. Traditionally it was the government enterprises. And suddenly it has shifted. It has changed to the privatization. So likewise, everything, even in the government sector, it has to undergo change. Once you do privatize the business, they will make change. We will remain the same. If you say, what purpose is served? What purpose is served? So from all the angles, this coming summer, the next government may look at it from all the angles. All the angles. They have to do it, because treating the same path will invite troubles. That's all. What else it is inviting trouble, and the same crimes will continue. Same things will happen. The same fraudulent transactions will happen. And what else can happen? That is at the center. What about the states? BJP has got administration in most of the states. Congress has got in few. But instead of making changes everywhere, the central change is the most important one. First, they bring the change, and whether it is the BJP ruled government or Congress ruled government, the same system has to be followed. So they can say whether it is in the social welfare stream, whether it is in any other field, business enterprise, whatever it is, the education, very important. The same stream has to be controlled. The next government will do it after summer. This summer, of course, this government will go next summer. And many of the social security schemes where it is not working, because this government announced Ayushman Bharat, 75 years, 75 years, 5 lakh insurance. But even government of the hospitals, they are not accepting. This is the sad fact. Government hospitals, they are not accepting. And seeing that the Karnataka government also initiated on the lines of uh, Ayushman Bharat, another scheme. What is that name? Some scheme they announced. Same 75. One has to be the member of the cooperative society for 90 days. What is that? One cannot understand. It is they have removed the criteria of 70 years. Only cooperative society membership for 90 years. Any of the cooperative society in the state, 90 days, sorry, 90 years, 90 days, 70 years criteria they have removed, I think. So everyone are having their own scheme and everything is faltering. And this Ayushman Bharat, none of the hospitals is accepting. In fact, I went around, and some of the hospitals they are claiming to be non-profitable organization, non-profitable hospitals, and socially concerned hospitals, ashrams run by ashrams, Shankara ashram, but they also are not accepting Ayushman Bharat. They are not accepting it. So call at any of the private hospitals. They are not accepting. None of them. So at least the private hospitals are not accepting. Go to the government hospital, they are also not accepting. Government hospitals, of course, they charge to some section. They don't charge to other sections. Somehow they have their own criteria, but Ayushman Bharat, both the sections, they don't accept that card. So this goes against any reasoning, any reasoning. Announced and 70 Ayushman card, nothing, nowhere they are accepting. As far as I have contacted, none of the hospitals are accepting. Because maybe in the initial period some lacuna, some people must have taken advantage of that. It is quite probable. In fact, when you say insurance, other insurance also it can happen. And why that other insurance has not stopped? Why this should stop? And check up. You have to give it the take remedial measures, not stop altogether. Because still that scheme is there. But once they do not accept, it goes back to the first sentence. Russian oil they are giving cheap price. Where the marketing cannot be done of the finished products, it loses its sheen. So what do you do with purchasing the cheap oil when there is no market for the finished products? So that way the scheme Ayushman Bharat is there, but no one is accepting. So it is as if the scheme doesn't exist. And the government is not showing its concern in this regard also. So they announce narrow mandate. They announce the schemes. Do not wait to see that whether it is implemented in the proper spirit. So many things. It is all a carryover. Not that Narendra Modi came and he did all bashful things. He is carrying over the job. Maybe he has tried to correct the anomalies of the past. He has failed, and as he failed in this Russian oil crisis, crude oil, crude oil part. So because he was still favoring Russian president Narendra Modi, in spite of having a lot of stakes in having US as his partner, because there was no bias. Businessman has taken over more power than government. They are not worried about him anymore because they give him a lot of not him, party donation. It comes in the newspaper, a lot of money. So that's all. We are giving you money, and how can we get money if we have Russian fuel? Vladimir Putin, of course, not bothered. If buy or don't buy, get lost. He says, I am concerned with this region only. his eyesight is till that former Russian colony. It doesn't go behind. Iran, Iraq, and all is not bothered. It's not coming under CIS, CIS or something. What is it? Russian territories, former Russian territories. Putin is not bothered about all these things. He is concerned only with his former territories. India buys or not buys, at last. Anyway, you want our defense system, you take, otherwise that also you have our source of funding. See, whatever sanctions are done, Putin is not concerned. he is he is going on. He's getting his funds. He's getting his funds. Whether you buy oil or don't buy oil, funds are available. Whether you buy any other defense equipments or not, funds are available. He said that seems to be the Russians. The same cannot be said about Americans. Of course, their interest is spread throughout the world. Iran, immediately they've sent an armada. Iran and where else? Venezuela, immediately they've sent their men. Of course, they say it's business purpose, but still they have sent their interest lies there. They send their people, send their army. Venezuela, Iran, Greenland, they want Greenland. Their interest lies across the globe. Only to say that interest lies across the globe. Russians' interest lies with their only former Russian territories. Others, of course, if they want to take the services of Russian expertise, come. Otherwise, they are very shrewd in this matter. Otherwise, get going wherever you go, get lost justice. Not bothered. So many aspects are there to be considered. Narendra's feedback is very much essential at this hour to the coming government in this summer. Narendra Modi's feedback about his feelings, about his transactions, about his governmental initiatives, about the failures like the Ashman Catch, about the fallout in the privatization, what has gone wrong, about the merger anomalies, about the working of this, about the large number of administrative offices which he hasn't bothered to dismantle, or whether it is business, banking, enterprises, or administrative offices in other public sector enterprises, uh, so heavy industries, software industries, that industry, this industries, wherever it is. So Narendra Modi will want to give the feedback, and in fact, when he finds that the next government is also falling in same line, uh, walking in a troop with the same battalion, he may shift his focus to his close friend, American friend, and tell us because Narendra Modi is in the habit of coming out with his views in the public meetings. He says, "This fellow called me like that. That fellow called me like that." What public are going to do? Because he is telling his boss, that's all. That is, he is getting a satisfaction. Because public are not going to do anything about this. They are telling me this. They are telling me that. I saw bola diya. So now, now we cannot go and tell to the public once out of office. He will go to his friend in need, his friend indeed. So American is the best friend, an American president. Will go and tell his boss and ask him to get the things right. Russian president, if I get lost, he will say, I have only got so much work is here. My own territory is gone. I'm so concerned and depressed. Simply for outside world, I'm showing my teeth, he will say, Russian president. So I'm not concerned. So he will go with his voice to the, provided the next government falls in line with the same matters. He will go with this voice to the American president. American president will definitely help Narendra Modi to set things right in the country, because we have seen that happen in Venezuela. We are seeing that initiatives taken in the Gulf. We have seen that initiating initiatives across the country, because they want Canada to be part of the country, because not for a selfish interest, but for the people of both the countries. They can enjoy more and become more powerful and earn more money money and become rich countries. So Greenland also they want it only for the maintaining security reasons. Otherwise they will not covet for that land, covet for that land. So there are a lot of initiatives coming in. There are a lot of speeches and interest is shown across the world. Unlike Putin, was not interested in all such matters. Their own territory is enough for them. Russia is endowed with a large land area and one of the largest in the world, even after the breakup. And they have natural resources, and even if trading is not carried out again with the outside world, they have the ability to generate funds for their people, carry out their war machine, and do a lot of things. So that is a different country altogether. And Ukraine, of course, they have to realize that Russian mindset. In fact, they have been part of Russia for a long time, losing their men and materials in large numbers. And what is the purpose? In fact, when Russia would have has annexed small part of the territory, that in itself they could have compromised with Putin. Putin would have given up. We will have only this small territory and we will leave you. That's all they would have to. But now there is a lot of losses, a lot of uh, human deaths, uh, infrastructure collapse, so many things are happening. Also, this summer, what happens? Topic was across the world. So this summer, what happens is Ukraine will realize that Putin means business because whatever no complete zero trading. Also, they have the ability to generate funds. They have the ability to carry on with the war. But that's not the case with Ukraine because at one time Europeans say they will fund the war. At other times they say they do not, they will not. And America, of course, says only if you give money, will give arms. And what will Ukraine do? Unlike the Russian, they cannot generate funds. They cannot unable to generate except giving their mineral-rich land to the foreign countries providing fund. You take these minerals, do mining, and give us funds, they will say. But for that, Putin will not agree. Putin, so there are drawbacks. So this summer, Ukraine may also uh, chart out other plans. They will not walk the same line. They may take a different position of this summer. Indian summer, we'll see a lot of changes. They may chalk out a different position and compromise with both the Putin and Americans, compromise settlements that will happen, and Ukraine will be on the process of being rebuilt. And what about the agricultural lands? Agricultural lands will be restored. They will make efforts to restore, and of course, India will be purchasing agricultural commodity, and not only from America but also from Ukraine. In fact, it was not known that India was importing food grains from Ukraine so long. Only after the war started, it came to be known. How is it possible? Because sunflower they were importing from Ukraine and other grains as well, but that was not known, maybe not in large quantities. Had it been made public, the farmers would have agitated. The farmers would have gone on a big agitation because they are gearing up for agitation this summer. They may go on agitation against the imports of American food grains, agricultural crops, and they may stage protests everywhere this summer because milk is also being imported. How can you milk us? They will say. We are having a lot of cattle and still you want American milk. They will say, ask Narendra Modi. Of course, Narendra Modi may not be in power after summer, Indian summer. And farmers will go on agitation, of course. And Greenland, those people now they are fully siding with the Denmarks. And after this summer, they may choose, they may change the choice. They may not change it, the choice drastically, but they will think of other options, analyze why are the Americans asking, whether it's really going to serve the purpose. And in Canada, the Prime Minister will not take a very hard stance on the Americans, and they will also start start thinking over, and whether it will do any amount of good on zoning the US, because that at that time it will not be called United States of America when Canada amalgamates. What it will be called? So they may discuss. Of course, ultimately they will never merge their country with America, but a discussion will take place. Discussions, conventions, meetings, public meetings will happen after Indian summer, in course of Indian summer, and they will leave it to the discretion of the future governments to decide. And in fact, in America, the future governments may not toe the line of the present president, because they're all objecting to the initiatives of the present president, because whether it is good or bad, because they have not towed that line. So they may object even within their Republican Party. So that will be the summer will involve a lot of discussions, meetings, unknown, all those all the while. And what about the nuclear flare-ups? Flare-ups. In fact, Putin is keeping himself aside. Is amenable to meetings. Is amenable to everything, but he has this option. He's he puts a stake on the option of whether it goes to zero or whether he wins. Only that on expiry it will be known. So that way, Putin is bent on that, hell bent on that, and he has his options. At the same time, amenable to discussion, but wouldn't change his mind. If we didn't change his mind, like from derivatives to stock trading, because stock trading, your investment is safe to an extent. It is not going to become zero. In derivatives, it will become zero. Putin is not bothered. Even if it becomes zero, let it be. I'll put my stakes in derivatives, not in stocks. Sort of stands as Putin's stand. So that way is the options, and it's likely that Putin will exercise his discretion in using nuclear weapons, and that is what I'm telling right from the beginning, because for a lot of time has been fighting was not the present Ukraine war, because Russia has been fighting wars in Afghanistan, and has gone as Afghanistan 1980s, and prior to that they have invaded Poland. In fact, Poland is also near Russia, but they are a NATO country, NATO, part of NATO. So Putin has got his mindset already set. Though amenable to discussions, he carries on with his plans accordingly without any changes, because if changes anything, it has to be from the other side, as per his volition. So that is his mindset. This summer it will not change. Indian summer will not change Putin's mindset. It is going to change across the world, but not Putin. Putin's one finger is touching the nuclear weapon. One finger is touching the nuclear weapon. Other finger is on the briefcase, on his briefcase. So the other party has to see to that Putin's like this. In fact, Americans also changed the stance. Greenland, they said, okay, you're not going to give Greenland. Oh, we are giving up. That's fine. They gave up Greenland. Canada, okay, it is for your sake we told that. Fine, get lost. Canada will be a sovereign country. They are giving up. So they are initiated. They are why they have initiated. God only knows. Whether If in course of this discussion, if it falls into place, fine. Otherwise, leave it. That's all. But Putin has got his fingers on his plan. There is no absolutely got to be no change, whatever it is, whatever it is. The other side only has to relinquish their ambition to an extent, uh, their self-respect to their extent, in order to prevent Putin from exercising his rights of nuclear. So this summer will see changes across the world except Russian leader.